And we are back with another
Little old podcast from Pasadena.
I am Victor Cass, retired police sergeant with over 30 years experience, all with the Pasadena, California Police Department. And my partner here is
Alyse Beale, the historian Alyse.
Yes, and we love all things Pasadena. And this podcast is dedicated to topics near and dear in our heart that are historical, cultural, socio-political, but with some kind of Pasadena nexus, as it were.
Yes, and I think we said today is going to be like the naturalist episode.
Yes, the naturalist episode. What got us onto this naturalist kick?
Maybe it was when I asked a very important question. And it brought me down a very long rabbit hole. And this question was, actually it's several questions. Why did Vromans of Pasadena fame?
That's the bookstore for those who are
Why did Vromans have a swastika in his logo for many years?
Yeah, that's right.
What was up with that, and when did he get rid of it? And so that's how this whole episode came about, was from that one question.
Okay, so Dave, some background. Pasadena has a very famous, nationally famous bookstore called Vroman's Bookstore. It's been around since about 1894. It's moved a couple of times, but it is currently in Playhouse Village. The founder, Adam Vroman, was a very prominent Pasadena citizen in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And why don't you tell us a little bit about his love of Western Americana and Native American lore.
Yeah, he was very interested in the American Southwest and all the different indigenous tribes that lived. He would travel, and he was a big photographer. In addition to books, he also sold camera supplies and stuff, I believe, in his store. What's interesting is that a lot of these photos that he took in the Southwest were printed in a book that was essentially what inspired the book Ramona by Helen Hunt Jackson.
Wow, how's that for a little deep literary and historical cultural nugget of information? So for those of you who are familiar with Southwestern culture, especially in regard to native indigenous populations, you will know that a symbol that was very revered to several Native American tribes in the Southwest was a symbol that we know of historically as a swastika. Now, the swastika has been around for a long time. It goes back to ancient Hindu times. They used it over there in South Asia. And it's been used throughout history in various kind of, in more religious contexts.
Yes.
In its position dictated what type of swastika and what type of religio Native American significance that it had.
Right.
So prominent, in fact, in Southwestern Native American lore that it was used kind of all over, not just in the logo that we're going to talk about, but also in design motifs in white mainstream American culture at the time. Even the United States Army's 45th Infantry Division, which is a red diamond, had the yellow swastika in it literally almost all the way up until the eve of World War II, because that unit was from the Southwest. It was from, I believe, Arizona and New Mexico. It was a National Guard unit. So that's why they would have had it there. Again, but it was an upright facing swastika. Now, most of the world today knows the slightly tilted swastika, made infamous by the Third Reich and the Nazis.
Yeah, that's how Hitler made it different, by tipping it on its side a little bit. But yeah, as you're saying, ordinarily it was, it goes back to...
It could be upright, it could be facing the other way, but the way that it faces today, and if you were to tilt it, that's the Nazi swastika. But what Alyse was curious about was, if you were to look at any kind of Vroman's bookstore iconography from the late 1800s, and she'll talk about it later in the 20th century, a swastika features prominently in his logo.
Yeah.
Am I right?
And I knew this, and I knew that it had been a symbol for a long time, not just for the Nazis, So I had questions, and I understood that Romans would have been interested in the symbol because he was interested in Native American stuff. But my question was like when, because obviously he did stop using this swastika as a logo.
Yeah, for sure. As did most everybody in the 1930s. At some point in the 1930s in the United States, it would have fallen out of fashion.
Yes.
And Alyse wanted to know, like what year?
When did they get rid of it? So the question to ask was like, when would Americans have really turned sour towards the Nazis in Germany and wanted to distance themselves from this logo? Because like I was looking through old city directories, pictorials for the Tournament of Roses, and yeah, through the early 1900s, there is that swastika logo. And it's interesting when you go to Vroman's today and you park in their back parking lot and you're walking towards the back of their store, there's a giant photo on the building of the original storefront that A.C. Vroman had on Colorado. And there's something missing because originally there is a giant ass swastika in the original
logo's in this photograph. Yes. However, they have photoshopped out.
They scrubbed out the swastika because obviously it's not a great look to have a swastika hanging outside of your store.
And so Alyse asked me about that because she knows I'm I'm a military historian, and I kind of, we talked about, because we're both fans also of a TV show from Germany called Babylon Berlin, which takes place in the Weimar Republic in Germany, in the late 20s and early 30s. And, I kind of, pointed out to Alyse that even at 1930, 31, really most of the outside world, while they may have known like a little bit about Hitler and the newspapers and stuff, these still weren't like major groups in Germany. Even in 1933, when Hitler took power, very little of the world would have known much about anything nefarious the Nazis were up to. Kristallnacht wasn't until 1938.
And we had the Olympics in 36.
36, yeah, which, and they kind of scrubbed they had a big PR campaign in the lead up to the Olympics in 1936. So really, you could theoretically see this swastika still in other, Southwestern iconography, even up until like maybe 1934, 35, in reality. So that was kind of interesting. Then the whole Adam Vroman thing led Alyse down a rabbit hole into who Adam Vroman knew, who his friends were, and then so tell us about.
Yeah, it was interesting. I came across an article. It must have been in the Pasadena Star News. John Muir came to visit. He was often in Pasadena. He was really close with Jean Carr, who owned Carmelita, which is now the grounds of the Norton Simon.
Right. It was a famous estate. And so John Muir, by the way, a famous naturalist, also would have been interested in Southwestern culture, Native American culture, the preservation of American national parks, Yosemite, all those kind of stuff. And my high school was named after him here in Pasadena, in our Northwest neighborhood, John Muir High School, very famous high school. But yeah, John Muir would have been a prominent person to know these people.
So this article I came across was John Muir visiting the original Vromans, visiting A.C. Vroman, and there's they describe in the paper this scene of Muir talking to people in the bookshop and looking up, and Vromans is kind of like on this separate level, like looking down on them all, talking to them. So it's just neat to see like our original Pasadenans mixing with someone so famous as John Muir. And they were into, like you're saying, the same sort of thing.
And keep in mind, these weren't the only historical figures from this region that were naturalists into Southwestern culture, into Native culture. And you're going to recognize some of the names that we talk about because they all knew each other. Like Charles Lummis.
Charles Lummis, yes. He was one of the big boosters for California, big naturalist. Also, he, like Vroman, liked to visit the American Southwest, study up on the peoples there. What's interesting is like everyone knows Lummis and his famous home, El Alisal.
Which you can still visit today, by the way,
Yes.
just off the 110 freeway
Uh-huh.
down here in our Lincoln Heights or Highland Park area.
Yeah.
It's an interesting house. He also ran a newspaper, correct?
Yes. Out west, and then it was a different name also. I
You might
forget
want to
what
derail you, but you're going to
in
talk
the
about how
Sunshine or
Lummis-
something. Yeah. So yeah, lots of people know Lummis. He's the famous booster around
Right.
here. Very few people know that Lummis had like a mortal enemy.
you could say like more of a competitor.
A mortal enemy.
Yes.
No, because really, I think in later years, the two would like fight over like who published what book and who was lying about what and like being a fraudster. His name was George Wharton James.
George Wharton James.
George Wharton James is the Charles Lummis of Pasadena.
Yes, and
we were saying.
take a look at that. George Wharton James would have been our Pasadena's Charles Lummis.
Mhm.
Okay, literally almost as prominent of a naturalist, Southwest historian, Native American historian as Charles Lummis, correct?
Yeah, I mean that's why they were rivals. He
Right.
wrote I don't know how many dozens and dozens of books simply on the American Southwest. But yeah, they were big rivals. What was it?
But wasn't James also buddies with another prominent Pasadenan?
Yeah, so maybe I should give the story on James because James is, Pasadena can never be quite normal. We have to have these eccentric characters.
There's always an eccentric character.
James came from England originally, and he came to California. I think he left his wife behind. His wife later came to live in Long Beach with him. So when she came over, she kind of realized that he was busy with the ladies.
He was kind of a ladies' man, as it were.
Which was odd because he preached a lot about social purity and like behaving well, but he himself was a ladies' man.
Kind of a religious guy too. Wasn't he a minister?
He was a Methodist minister.
Yeah, put that in your...
Yeah, often, again, preaching about social purity.
Mhm.
Until all this stuff with his wife comes to a head, she accuses him of trying to kill her by like bashing a chair over her head. There are a lot of crazy stories about him. Like people spread rumors that he like was sleeping with some of his relatives, even like crazy stories about all these women. Like he slept with some 63-year-old woman and her 3 daughters. I'm not sure that's a real story. People, including Lummis, really did not like George Wharton James. So they spread a lot of crazy rumors. He was a crazy guy, don't get me wrong. But there were also a lot of rumors about him.
Sure, there's going to be a lot of haters.
Yeah.
Whenever you are an eccentric character, whenever you look different, whenever you like are popular or have a way with the ladies, there's always going to be detractors, haters. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he even looked weird. This guy looked like Rasputin. I don't know if you've ever seen a photo of this guy. I'm sure Alyse will pop one up when she does the effects.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll put it.
Literally looked like Rasputin. You can just put up a photo of Rasputin.
He did.
And that's him.
He did. I mean, that's how I described him to you. And when I showed you the picture, like, oh yeah, that's Rasputin.
That's Rasputin, for sure.
There's a reason for that. Quirky character that he is. He hated shaving. He didn't like to cut his hair.
Because it interfered with him doing stuff that he'd rather do.
He had better things to do.
He didn't want to waste time shaving.
Like writing.
Yes.
There's a very famous picture of him writing in his home on North Raymond, surrounded by all these Native American baskets and stuff.
Should we use the word a hoarder?
He was a collector.
Collector. I like that. I'm a collector of stuff. So I always get a little itchy in my bottom when I hear the word hoarder. Because as a former law enforcement officer, I've seen real hoarding, and it's not collecting.
Yeah,
so,
there's a difference.
There's a big difference. Yeah.
So James, in this whole like divorce thing, his divorce went through. He was defrocked. But eventually reinstated, I guess. But that essentially was the end of his like ministerial, I don't know if that's the right word for it, the end of his religious career, let's just say. He ended up moving to Pasadena. He had a second wife here too.
Surprise.
But in Pasadena, he was famous because he was hired by Professor Lowe of the Mount
Thaddeus
Lowe Railway.
Lowe. Mm-hmm.
And he was the Mount Lowe publicist. He ran like a newspaper up there. He wrote books on Mount Lowe to convince people to come and, visit.
And don't get me wrong, Thaddeus Lowe was also an eccentric, quirky character himself.
He was.
So it's no surprise that these two, their mojos.
Yeah, he's like picture the Wizard of Oz being friends with Rasputin.
Yeah. That's pretty much these two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so...
there's also a picture, one of my favorite pictures is of George Wharton James at Mount Lowe. They had a zoo there. He's wrestling the black bear, Ursa. I think her name was Ursa.
He didn't wrestle with Jimothy or anything, did he?
No. He has been dying to talk about Jimothy. Should we just take a break and talk about Jimothy?
You know what? I just wanted to slip it in real fast.
You just wanted to slip it in, but I know you want to talk about Jimothy.
It's a big pop culture thing that's going on right now. We'll get back to Jimothy.
Okay, we'll talk about Jimothy later.
So, getting back to Wharton James. He is a weird dude, interesting character. Again, Pasadena's very own, like Charles Lummis, if you wanted to refer to him as that. Yeah. And they were kind of competitors. They were, you know, big time. And these are big egos. Like, whenever you have guys like this that are kind of experts in their field, there's always going to be big egos involved. You know, they all want the credit to do that first, or write that book first, or be the one to publish that or publish this.
Yeah, there was a lot of beef. Like Lummis and George Wharton James would accuse each other of like plagiarizing or like making stuff up that like didn't really happen in the Southwest, you know, in order to have like interesting things. And actually, I have to be honest, is a charge that George Wharton James got even back in Long Beach. They accused him of like being a fraud about things. Okay. So
now we mentioned this guy earlier. Even Adam Vroman had to intercede in some of this beef because Vroman was friends with Wharton James.
Yeah.
Right?
They were friends.
And Lowe. And these guys all knew each other. All these historical figures that we're talking about, you know, knew each other. They wrote to each other. They hung out with each other.
Another fun fact, Professor Lowe's wife, Leontine, she also collected Native American baskets, pottery. She had a bigger collection than George Wharton James in her massive mansion on Orange Grove. It was like basically a museum of the American Southwest.
It's like the Southwest Museum before there was a Southwest Museum.
Yeah.
Right. And in fact, so this rivalry between James, correct me if I'm wrong, and Lummis, and this even led to disputes over publishing someone's famous letters.
Yes. So I mentioned earlier that John Muir was really close with Jean Carr from Carmelita here in Pasadena. They, throughout his life, exchanged letters. Because they were so close, he confided personal things in these letters. When he died, the family, and also John Muir, before he died, he was trying to get his letters back.
From her.
He
even requested. Didn't he request, hey, why not this? I'd like to get this back.
Yes.
Okay.
But, you know, the papers ended up, Jean Carr had some sort of arrangement with George Wharton James saying, like, I will give them to you. But, you know, there were stipulations, like, you can't publish everything, right?
Right.
When John Muir's family found this out, they were, I think, understandably upset because these are personal letters of John Muir's that were not supposed to be published. So they were trying to, you know, take back control of them. And A.C. Vroman had to step in at one point to kind of
mediate, right?
Mediate, like, sort of like a go-between.
So imagine this. Like, I get it. Look, Alyse and I were both writers. We're both historians. We've both been in the public eye. I know I had a long career in public service. These are big egos, you know. I could see even, you know, Carr wanting to, you know, be involved in the publication of John Muir's letters. And, you know, Wharton James is her best shot at getting these letters published. Wharton James wants to be the one to publish John Muir's letters. Yeah. The Muir family wants to be the one to publish their letters.
I mean, I can almost see George Wharton James being like, this is how I beat Charles Lummis by making this book about John Muir.
In reality, this is a bunch of creative egos trying to be the first one to publish these important letters and get all the credit, you know.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, look, everyone all creatives want to be a pioneer. They want to get their stuff published first. But it's just kind of an interesting little kind of a literary historic footnote of these famous Pasadena figures and LA County figures.
Yeah. And I also found out in like research that was not even connected to this, some other research I was doing about the poet Nora Mae French, who is one of my new favorite poets. She, I found out, was like writing here in Glendale and I think La Cañada. She was living on a ranch there before she moved up into the north.
But she was connected to Lummis too.
She was connected to Lummis because she got her big start by her dad taking her to El Alisal, Charles Lummis's home, and like knocking on the door, introducing Nora Mae French to Lummis, and he started to publish her poems in his magazine. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Right. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, she was just incredibly talented. So.
But she was also a little unusual herself. Some would say that she possibly had some strange, quirky, romantic,
quirky
notions.
If she were a man, no one would be calling it strange, quirky. Like, she liked romance.
Oh, and what about her little literary gang that she hung out with up north?
Yeah, so she ended up in Carmel, that bohemian artist colony, hanging out with Jack London. She was staying at the home of George Sterling in Carmel when she downed cyanide and killed herself.
Silly play.
But it's weird because then, like, several years later, the wife of George Sterling also takes cyanide, kills herself. And then in the 1920s, George Sterling takes cyanide and kills himself.
Does Dateline know about this story? We get
no.
One of those true crime channels to investigate this.
Maybe they will when I'm done with it.
So yeah, this is a bohemian commune kind of a gang up there, and they're they got caught up in the whole romantic notion of like lovelorn suicide and all this kind of stuff.
But she got her start here at El Alisal.
Yeah, down here with Lummis. Cool. And now it's one of Alyse's favorite poets.
And she's really good. You got to look her up.
Were there any Jimothy sightings at El Alisal?
No. Now it's time to talk about Jimothy. He's
I'm not talking about him.
Ever since I introduced him to Jimothy, like yesterday. No, he had heard about them, but I don't think he had seen a picture of Jimothy until I showed you.
I had no. This thing looks like the chupacabra meets one of this Rocky Raccoon or something. This is a crazy little beast that's running around. I don't know what's up with Jimothy, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's buddies with that little raccoon that's been terrorizing our backyard over here.
Okay, Jimothy is from Seattle, I think, though. So
it doesn't surprise me that Jimothy's from Seattle. Let's be real. We want to be honest. Okay, it's no surprise that Portland or Seattle.
I thought he was from San Francisco, and that would have made more sense.
Yes, that also would have made sense. This is a really ratty looking. Looks like he's a drug addict, a homeless raccoon.
I love Jimothy. You need to stop saying mean things about him. The internet's gonna hate you. They're gonna blacklist our podcast. Don't talk bad about Jimothy. They will come for you.
Okay, but admit that Jimothy does look like the chupacabra.
Jimothy is like he's like a walking ottoman. That's like what was that comedian that said that? Like, are you a raccoon or are you an ottoman? And that was so accurate. Oh, he's so cute.
Poor Jimothy. Someone needs to free. It's like who's that mountain lion? Remember that mountain lion J something or in some
P
something P13 or something running around out here. And these poor animals get these nicknames. They become celebrities, and next thing you know, they die, and the whole internet's sad, and
Okay, well, like we can't end the Naturalist episode with the death of a raccoon. So
yeah, no, we can't. But yeah, that's interesting stuff about Vroman and Lummis, Thaddeus Lowe. These are big names in Pasadena, big names in the San Gabriel Valley and Northeast Los Angeles.
I just want to know, like, why did we end up like with the weirdos, like the Wizard of Oz and Rasputin?
Yeah. If you guys are ever in the Los Angeles, greater Pasadena area, I mean, definitely visit the Southwest Museum. The
Autry?
The Autry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And the Autry and the South, either one,
You're talking about El Alisal.
Yes.
Lummis's home. Yeah, that's a really cool place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stone castle almost, it looks like, and it's near Heritage Square, right?
Go visit there too. A lot of history in this region. A lot of California history, Southwest history. And we can almost thank these figures for the preservation of Native American history, arts and artifacts, lore, that because it still exists today in a lot of these different museums that we have here in Los Angeles County, including the Gene Autry Museum is a fantastic museum for the Southwest and Native and Western Americana.
Yeah. Shit, we didn't finish with the swastikas.
Oh, yeah.
We got so distracted.
Back to the Nazis.
Back to the swastikas. Yeah. So Romans, their scrubbed out swastika outside their store.
Yes.
All through the 1900s, they used it. The last time I saw it
was,
and I went through all the old city directories and everything, 1931.
1931.
I don't think I saw it at all in 1932. By 1933, I just saw the name Romans without the logo. So,
and as you know, Adolf Hitler took power in 1933 and kind of was all downhill for the Germans.
Yeah, our guess was 33. We would stop seeing it, and we were pretty close.
Yeah, we were pretty close.
Yeah.
Interesting little backstory with Vroman's logo there and the Native American / Nazi swastika.
Yeah, do a double take at that picture outside Romans the next time you're there.
Yeah, you can still walk around Pasadena today and see metal grates and decorative stuff. And you'll see swastika imagery in a lot of the stuff around Pasadena and LA County in building facades and stuff. Again, it was a very prominent Native American and Sanskrit symbol, which was used widely in arts and architecture and textiles. All through the early 1900s. Up until the period when most of the world would have become kind of aware of, the looming threat of Hitler's Germany.
Yeah. And Romans itself had a pretty big mark on Pasadena. They had moved. They started it was like 600 something Colorado, and then
they started in Old Town, and then they moved. Yeah. They moved to two locations right across from with the Paseos today, and then where its current location. It's been there since the 1950s.
Yes, but at the same time, I found out that they had it was like a Spanish-style reading room, very fancy looking. And then the place that they're at now, it was, I think, like a storage spot. It looked almost like a White House with all these big porticos. Yes. The Romans that was there before they tore it down and rebuilt it in the 1950s. Yes,
I remember that building, actually. I remember seeing photos, not me personally, but I remember photos of that old structure.
Like you remember from 1950?
Definitely visit Vroman's bookstore. And you can read. I think they sell Adam Vroman's is like a biography of him, which you can.
I used it in my research.
Yes, from our Pasadena History Library.
Not that they talk about the swastika in that book.
They don't. Yeah, they wouldn't talk about that. But interesting stuff. The 45th Infantry Division, by the way, I told you they had the swastika in their patch. They changed that patch to the Thunderbird, the Native American Thunderbird, which would be more appropriate for what was happening. And that unit fought in World War II in Europe. Yeah,
it's interesting how this the symbol that has been used for so many hundreds of years. Thousands of years, and Hitler just kills it for everyone, and now no one can use it ever
Thanks,
again.
Adolf.
Yeah. Same with the German language, just stop speaking German.
Baby.
Okay. Too far?
Adolf. Adolf, he just never goes away, does he?
Unpopular opinion, it's just not a great look to hear a white man speaking German. Just saying.
So what else? Babylon Berlin, a great TV show. You guys get a chance, check it out. We're in the 4th season right now.
It's really
especially
good.
If you're interested in that Weimar, post-World War I Weimar Germany history, and you like detective gangster shows. Babylon Berlin.
Yes.
Definitely have to check that out.
All right, let's end this before you start talking about Jimothy again. We need to.
Let's talk about Babylon Berlin. Okay. All right. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, we did a little deep dive into some past, literary and cultural history with this one. And apparently Germany and raccoon history. Jimothy. But yeah, we'll be back next Friday.
We'll be back.
With?
Oh, you want me to say that? We'll be back with another little old podcast episode from Pasadena.